Hey everyone, welcome back to Reddit Rewind. Today we have a story that honestly made my blood boil when I first read it. It's about a new mom, postpartum body image, and a husband who said some things that you absolutely won't believe. This story comes from relationship advice, and I'm telling you right now, the update is wild. So make sure you stick around until the end because you're not going to want to miss what happens. Before we jump in, if you're new here, we share the craziest Reddit stories every single day. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our uploads. Trust me, these stories are addictive. All right, let's get into this one. So this story starts with a woman we'll call Emma. Emma is 28 years old and she just had a baby a few months ago. We'll call her husband David. They'd been together for 5 years, married for 3. Now, Emma says that before she got pregnant, she had a really great relationship with David. They communicated well, they supported each other's careers, and there were no major red flags. She described him as loving, attentive, and someone who made her feel beautiful. But then she got pregnant, and according to Emma, things started to change slowly. At first, it was small things. David would make little jokes about her growing belly. He'd say things like, "Wow, you're really getting big," in front of their friends. Emma would laugh it off because she figured he was just being playful and didn't realize it bothered her. Then her body started changing in other ways. Her breasts got larger, she gained weight in her hips and thighs, she developed stretch marks, all completely normal things that happen during pregnancy. But David's comments became more frequent. He started making what he called observations. He'd say things like, "I didn't know pregnancy would change you this much," or "You don't look the same anymore." Emma tried to gawk to him about how these comments made her feel, but David would get defensive. He'd say he was just being honest and that she was being too sensitive. Fast forward to after the baby was born. Emma went through a difficult labor and delivery. She had an emergency C-section. Her body was recovering from major surgery, she was dealing with sleep deprivation, her hormones were all over the place, and she was learning how to be a mother for the first time. This is when David's comments got significantly worse, and I mean significantly worse. About 2 months after Emma gave birth, she was trying on some of her old clothes to see what still fit. David walked into the bedroom while she was standing in front of the mirror. She had on a shirt that used to be one of her favorites. David looked at her and said, and I quote from her post, "Oh, that top used to look good on you, but not anymore." Emma was stunned. She asked him what he meant, and he said, "Well, it just doesn't fit you the same way. Your body is different now." But it didn't stop there. Over the next few weeks, David made multiple comments about her appearance. He told her that her waist had gotten wider. He said her stomach looked loose. He made a comment about how her face looked fuller than it used to. And here's where it gets even worse. He started making these comments in front of other people. They'd be at dinner with friends, and he'd say something like, "Emma's still trying to lose the baby weight, even though no one asked." Or he'd compare her body now to pictures from before she was pregnant, pointing out the differences in front of family members. Emma was devastated. She was already dealing with postpartum body image issues, which are completely normal. Many women struggle with accepting their bodies after giving birth. The last thing she needed was her husband, the person who was supposed to support her the most, making her feel worse about herself. She tried talking to David about it multiple times. She explained that she had just given birth to their child, that her body had done something incredible by growing and delivering a human being, that his comments were hurtful and damaging to her mental health. But David didn't get it. He kept saying he was just being honest. He said he was concerned about her health. He claimed he was trying to motivate her to get back into shape. And he even had the audacity to suggest that maybe she wasn't trying hard enough to lose the weight. Let me be clear here. Emma was only 2 months postpartum. Doctors recommend waiting at least 6 weeks before even beginning to exercise after giving birth, and that's if you didn't have a C-section. Emma had major abdominal surgery. Her body was still healing. But the final straw came during a family gathering at David's parents' house. Emma was holding their baby, talking to David's sister, when David walked up and said, in front of everyone, "You know, Emma used to have such a nice figure before the pregnancy. I hope she can get it back." Emma said she felt humiliated. She excused herself, went to the bathroom, and cried. When she came out, she told David they needed to leave immediately. On the car ride home, she finally told him that if he made one more comment about her body, she was done. David rolled his eyes and said she was overreacting. 2 days later, Emma made a decision. She called her mom and asked if she and the baby could stay with her for a while. Her mom, of course, said yes and asked what was wrong. Emma broke down and told her everything. Emma's mom was furious. She told Emma that what David was doing was emotional abuse, that he was supposed to be supporting her during one of the most vulnerable times in her life, not tearing her down. Her mom encouraged her to leave, at least temporarily, to show David that his behavior was unacceptable. So Emma packed a bag for herself and the baby. She left when David was at work and sent him a text message saying, "I've gone to stay with my mom. Your comments about my body have been cruel and hurtful. I deserve better, and so does our daughter. When you're ready to apologize and commit to changing your behavior, we can talk." David's response was, he called her multiple times, leaving voicemails saying she was being dramatic. He texted saying she was abandoning their family over nothing. He even tried to get Emma's friends to convince her to come back, telling them that Emma was overreacting to some harmless comments. But here's where the story takes an interesting turn. Emma's mom, who had always liked David, decided to call him herself, and she didn't hold back. According to Emma's post, her mom told David exactly what she thought of his behavior. She told him that Emma had risked her life to give birth to his child, that her body had been through trauma, and that his job as a husband was to build her up, not tear her down. David apparently got defensive with Emma's mom too, saying that everyone was ganging up on him and that he was just being honest. Emma's mom then said something that really hit home. "If you loved your wife the way you claim to, you wouldn't be able to say these things to her. You'd see how beautiful and strong she is for what she's done." After that conversation, David went silent for 2 days. Emma stayed at her mom's house, taking care of the baby and processing everything that had happened. She said she felt guilty at first, wondering if maybe she was being too sensitive. But the more she thought about it, the more she realized that her feelings were completely valid. Then she started noticing other things about her relationship with David that she'd been ignoring. She realized that he had always been somewhat critical of her appearance, even before the pregnancy. He'd make comments about what she wore, suggest different hairstyles, or mention when he thought she should lose a few pounds. She had brushed it off before, but now she was seeing a pattern of behavior. Emma posted on Reddit asking if she was wrong for leaving. She wanted to know if she had overreacted, if she should have given David another chance, if maybe she was being too sensitive about his comments. And Reddit had some strong opinions. The post absolutely blew up. Within hours, it had thousands of comments and upvotes, and the overwhelming consensus was that Emma was absolutely not wrong for leaving. People were furious on Emma's behalf. They called David's behavior abusive. They shared their own stories of partners who had body-shamed them after pregnancy. They encouraged Emma to seriously reconsider her marriage because, as many commenters pointed out, this type of behavior rarely gets better on its own. Some people suggested that David might have postpartum depression himself, or that he was struggling with the changes in his life and taking it out on Emma. A few suggested couples counseling, but the majority said that David had shown his true colors and that Emma deserved better. Several healthcare professionals commented on the post, explaining the physical and emotional toll that pregnancy and childbirth take on a woman's body. They emphasized that Emma's body might never look exactly the same as it did before pregnancy, and that's completely normal and okay. They also pointed out that David's comments could contribute to postpartum depression and anxiety. One comment that really resonated with Emma said, "Your body created life. It's not supposed to bounce back like nothing happened. It did something miraculous. Anyone who can't see how amazing that is doesn't deserve you." Emma said reading the comments made her cry, but in a good way. She realized that she wasn't crazy for being hurt by David's words, that her feelings were valid, that she deserved to be with someone who saw her as beautiful no matter what. Emma posted an update about a week later, and honestly, I did not see this coming. David finally reached out to Emma, not with an apology, but with an ultimatum. He told her that if she didn't come home within the next 2 days, he was going to file for divorce. He said she was abandoning their family and that he wasn't going to put up with it anymore. Emma was shocked. She realized in that moment that David wasn't sorry at all. He wasn't concerned about her feelings or their marriage. He was concerned about losing control. So Emma called his bluff. She told him to go ahead and file for divorce. She said she would rather be a single mother than stay in a marriage where she was constantly made to feel inadequate. David apparently didn't expect that response. He backpedaled immediately, saying he didn't really want a divorce and that they should talk about it. But Emma had made up her mind. She told him that the only way she would consider staying in the marriage was if he agreed to individual therapy for himself and couples counseling for them both. She also required a genuine, heartfelt apology and a commitment to never making comments about her body again. David agreed, but Emma could tell he was just saying what she wanted to hear. She decided to stay at her mom's house for another month to give herself space to think. Here's where it gets really interesting. During that month, multiple people reached out to Emma with information about David. Apparently, he had been making comments about other women's bodies to his friends. One of his coworkers told Emma's friend that David had mentioned being disappointed in how Emma looked after pregnancy. Another friend said David had been complaining about their sex life to anyone who would listen. Emma realized that David's behavior was even worse than she thought. It wasn't just thoughtless comments, it was a pattern of disrespect and objectification. In her final update, Emma said she had decided to separate from David officially. She filed for custody of their daughter and moved into her own apartment with help from her family. She said she felt lighter and freer than she had in months. Now, Reddit was overwhelmingly supportive of Emma's decision. People praised her for standing up for herself and for modeling self-respect for her daughter. They encouraged her to continue prioritizing her mental health and to surround herself with people who truly supported her. Some people thought Emma should have tried harder to make the marriage work, especially with a new baby involved. They argued that David might have changed with therapy and that she gave up too quickly. But the majority agreed that Emma did the right thing. They pointed out that she gave David multiple chances to change his behavior and apologize genuinely.